reached out today, or not today, a couple weeks ago to Roy Mason. You guys remember Roy? He is an awesome member of the community. Roy has been around since the beginning, since before the Kickstarter, and he's been to multiple Game and Brew nights with Jong. And this guy, if you don't know Roy, he is a master at Double Dragon. And when I heard we're going to do a show where we're going to kind of have a lot of topics about beat-em-ups, I'm like, we got to get Roy Mason to talk about Double Dragon. He's the only one qualified in my books to really give that one a good review. And so I reached out to Roy, and Roy was ecstatic to be part of the show. He wanted to make a Double Dragon segment for us. So I'd love to. Can we show this segment from Roy?
Yes.
For Double Dragon.
Here we go.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for letting me be on the show. I was speaking to Jeff a couple weeks ago, and he mentioned I had mentioned how much I enjoyed the new show iiRcadians, and he said, "Why don't you put something out on Double Dragon?" Of course, I've always loved beat 'em ups. Growing up on the mean streets of Canada, we always had to have those fists up. No, of course not. But always did enjoy beat 'em ups for some reason, a variety of different ones. And the first one I really started to like was Double Dragon. And I put out a review about a little over a year ago on Double Dragon. There's been a few updates since then, so I thought I would add on to that existing review and expand it out a little bit. So I hope you like it. Here it is. Hey guys, it's Roy Mason with my very first game review, Double Dragon on iiRcade. This game was first released through Technos Japan in 1987, distributed through Taito. Double Dragon was a game that was always pretty important to me as a kid. It was something that I remember because I could play the game through the entire game on 1/4, which was because I am cheap, of course, which was pretty good because that made it cheap. But kids were literally lined out the door, lining up to play this particular game. So let's take a look at the iiRcade version of Double Dragon. This game was such a big game changer for beat 'em ups that had already been released, like Kung Fu Master and Shinobi, that had been released around that same time period. But this changed fighting games going forward. The sound is just as I remember it as well, and the iiRcade 1.21 gigawatts gives the rumble that I remember hearing in the arcade.
1.21 gigawatts!
And one of the big parts of Double Dragon for me was always the responsiveness of the controls. If I played a machine, the joystick had to work right, the button combinations had to not stick, and the iiRcade team does not disappoint with this. And the fact that they were able to restore the original punch, jump, kick button configuration at our request. And a quick update there, I have the original Sanwa clones and the original 64 gig iiRcade original issue, and I played quite a bit on those games, especially on the Double Dragon, and given those sticks a pretty good beating, and they're still very, very responsive. The only criticisms that I would have of the game is that there is no global leaderboard yet. And what a huge difference a year makes. We now have, of course, online leaderboards and have for a while. I still like them, even though I'm not, at the top tier anymore, but that's okay. And so we have that. And there is a possible rumor, not definite, that Double Dragon could be one of the first games in the iiRcade to get online play. Now, some people have criticized that the game still has a significant lag. Now, I'm going to counter those people because, honestly, the lag is part of the game. It's part of the technology of the day. That's the way it was when we played it. And we liked it. We loved it. And eventually they were able to correct that in Double Dragon 2, which moves much faster, but it's part of the game. And removing that lag to me is like taking the pops and the cracks out of vinyl. It was part of the recording. It was part of the time, or what I would say as history. Some people get a little hung up at the bridge. Basically, hit the abobo either side with elbows, isolate him on the bridge, and then slide down directly and block the kick.
Block the knight.
Also, less elbows means more points. So use the elbow if you want to get to the end, but if you want points, use the kick more. With the roundhouse kick will work a little bit better to rack up more points.
And just to expand on that, the elbow, by some people who play the game quite a bit, is kind of considered an easy way out, an easy way to get through the game. That's how I was always able to get through on one quarter, was pretty much using the elbow, because I wasn't playing for points. Since the iiRcade come on, I've taken a look more at what gets a higher point total. So I've been working more towards using the roundhouse kick in a variety of different. The hair pulls don't get as much points. And neither does the elbow, but it does get you through the game, and especially if you are really down in your power and you want to get through, to get the refresh on your power, to get through an end stage, definitely use the elbow to get yourself there, and then start using any extra power that you might have at the end to rack up more points.
To be conscious of what our kids see, the beginning is a little brutal, a little bit more than we want to see of Marion.
Other than that, the violence is pretty much PG-13, so pretty tame for the most part. Overall, the game works pretty well on the iiRcade, and it's a winner for me. So thanks, John Shin, for bringing this game. And of course, the best news yet is that it's standard with every version of the iiRcade. And of course, Double Dragon was just the first game of the Double Dragon series to hit the arcades. And then I remember when Double Dragon first came out, I saw it in Niagara Falls, Ontario. I thought, this is going to be the greatest game ever, Double Dragon 2. And it was okay. You know, I just couldn't. They took away my elbow. They changed all the fighting styles. They changed the controls. Because everything, as I mentioned earlier, was always about controls and how responsive the controls were, and it just kind of disoriented me, and I went on to other games and never really played it. So one of the great things about the iiRcade for me has been a chance to revisit Double Dragon 2 and be able to get used to it, because I have unlimited quarters, so I was able to get used to the controls, and it's a lot of fun. Then of course Double Dragon 3 came out, and that was, I honestly didn't even know it came out, never really saw it, didn't even know it really existed, saw it a few years later. Just was not the same gameplay. If you liked Nintendo or NES's version of Double Dragon, I feel like Double Dragon 3 plays more like that. The moves are just not fluid, just not the same game, different design team. But if you play Combat Tribes is the true sequel to Double Dragon. It has a lot of the same moves, the same design team, and so it's definitely something that is worth playing if you really like the original Double Dragon game. So I highly recommend the Combat Tribes. So if you love beat 'em ups, iiRcade is definitely a place for you. There's all kinds of them out there, different styles, different ages of games, some more complicated, others more simple, such as Kung Fu Master, but just some great games out there. So I encourage you to explore through iiRcade's titles and check out some of the great beat 'em ups that are out there. And of course, one of the best beat 'em ups that I've seen here recently is the Rastan series, Warrior Blade. So I plan to play a little bit of that tonight. So looking forward to that. Guys, thanks for letting me contribute to the show. And again, I love the show, and have a good one.
Yeah, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of things I wanted to say that that he touched on in his video. And the first thing about the slowdown and the lag in the original Double Dragon, I actually proposed this to Michael, and I don't know if they can go in and tweak the games or not. but if you look on the Nintendo Switch, NES Online and SNES Online, they went back and released like different versions of these games, like Legend of Zelda, where you get, you know, all the cheats are enabled, or like, but my point being, I would be perfectly okay. I don't know about you guys, if they wanted
like an option to switch between.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Or no, do an alternate release.
Absolutely not.
Do an alternate release of Double Dragon and Double Dragon 2, and change the control scheme in Double Dragon 2, and get rid of the lag in Double Dragon 1, and you can charge another $10 for those games, and I know I would buy them.
Oh man, here we go. Country. I know Brad is on the other side, it sounds like, saying no, absolutely not.
No, keep the arcade accurate slowdown.
I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm saying
I hear you, but yeah, I want them to be like they are in the arcade. So I think it's.
Would you guys be okay?
Maybe, but...
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, would you be okay if, like, when you go into the game, it was like said press coin button to swap between them or something, and then it said arcade accurate or improved performance or something like that. It had two different modes that you could select which one you wanted, and there were two different leaderboards. That
would be cool.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know how hard that would be to do, but sounds like, is that kind of what they did on the Switch?
Yeah, but it would be two different versions of the game. Like, so it'd be two different icons, you know. So you'd have the original game you'd select, and then you'd have the alternate version.
Oh, you're saying a whole different game? Okay,
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But and then the second thing I wanted to touch on that Roy said about Double Dragon 2. Now, see, I grew up with the NES versions more so than the arcade versions, so my perspective on it might be a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But Double Dragon 2 on NES is a great game. It is a great
Mikey,
NES
can I throw up a couple comments real quick? The whole point, this is from Rich Odella. The whole point is it's a homage to the original version. Rich Odella says he's with Brad. Don't touch it. Let's look at Ronsky. Ronsky says, yes, slow down is bug, not a feature. So there you go.
Don't worry, How to Bachelor. I've decided to pull over in a parking lot, so that way I was worrying people. So I didn't want anyone to think I was being
skills.
But
I was going to camera and driving.
What I was saying about Double Dragon 2, though, is that when I started getting into the arcade version, I was actually used to the control scheme because it was the same on the NES. And so but definitely Double Dragon 2 is an awesome beat 'em up.
Yeah.
But
I was used to the arcade Double Dragon, so for me, the fact that it played accurately meant a lot. I mean, they had to optimize that to get the correct slowdown rate.
And then
play correctly.
And as far as the franchise go, I'm going to throw this short little clip up, and I'm going to talk over it for you guys because I want to talk. This is an important point when it comes to Double Dragon. That part of the thing I wanted to do with this show was to not just pay homage and respect to iiRcade or even the current game companies and stuff like that, but there's people in days gone by, you know, that made these games that were amazing developers, and they deserve some shine as well. And so let's take a look at it. This guy, it's Yohisa Kishimoto, I believe is how you say his name.
That's pretty good.
And when you go down and look through the laundry list of stuff that this guy was a part of, it's just insane. Like, and the game Renegade, which predates Double Dragon even, is one of the early beat 'em ups. And he worked for Technos Japan, and that's where a lot of these games all came from. But look at here, you got Renegade, Double Dragon, you know, Double Dragon on NES, Double Dragon 2 arcade, WWF Superstars, the arcade game, Double Dragon 2 on the NES, Double Dragon 3, WWF WrestleFest, Super Double Dragon, the Combat Tribes. I mean, and then so it's just
busy.
Yeah, and then he's got even doing some modern game stuff as well. So it's just the stuff that he's been doing is just pretty crazy. How do I get my screen smaller? There we go. So yeah, he's definitely a great, an important person in the history of gaming. And it just so happens that here on the iiRcade, we have a pretty big selection of his games, honestly.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, we got the iiRcadian's merch store. If you want to take a little piece of the show with you, you can get it right here. Enjoy.